All right, well, here we are doing my next build, which is The Cat and Mouse Detective Agency and The Case of the Big Move, which is another secret book kit, miniature kit from Robin Betterley. One thing I do want to say about this kit is the artwork is beautiful. It is printed such good quality. The directions are so in depth. It's got photos and paragraphs on how to build this, and it's got the cutest little story that goes along with this the secret book. I definitely want to make my own little bookcase and maybe have like the whole set of these, and then also the little miniature ones. I just think they're so fun. Here's all the laser cut items that came with it. And in the little box, we've got like the little tiny chairs and then little typewriter, which were so fun to paint. Her stuff is done really well, and it's cut really well. I barely need to sand and use the X-Acto knife, but I definitely do just to make sure everything comes out really well. I often do like a dry fit, so that's kind of what I'm doing here is I'll dry fit everything before I put it together, and then I'll go back and I will glue everything. So even though I did do this dry fit and tested things out, I have to say I did build this a little bit upside down and backwards, just a little bit. You'll notice when you want to go to read the story on the back, it is upside down. But it's the only way I could get it to fit together. And I'm pretty sure that happens. It sometimes happens when I build Lego kits as well. I'll do everything a little bit backwards. All right, so moving on, I definitely use the wood glue for this part, and after using 1, 2, 3 blocks and letting it sit overnight, it's just very solid, very sturdy, and everything is very straight, which I'm so happy about. Like I said, the instructions for this are pretty amazing. I think I showed a little glimpse of them in there, but she's got all sorts of tips and tricks along with the pictures that show how everything fits together. Excuse me. Here I'm pasting the book pages on the outside of the book. It took me a moment. I think I was going to put the spine of the book on this part, which would be incorrect. So you got to kind of watch out for that and make sure you've got it set up properly. But my brain was having a little bit of a difficult time. So here's where I put the back cover on where the front should be. And then the front is now where the back should be. But that is okay, because to get all together when it's put up, you cannot tell a difference. And really, I don't think most people will notice. Fits together perfectly. It's so cute. And I decided to go ahead and paint a lot of the trim black. She did black with brown added to it, and I did just do my primer black. I didn't add any brown, and it still looks really good together. I was having a little bit of a difficult choice for the interior color. I did a Citadel paint, an off-white Wraithbone, I believe, and it looks pretty good. I think like almost anything works with that artwork. And there you can see I'm just kind of doing is in the instructions. She's like, make sure you just put it all in the corners. You don't have to cover it 100% because you're adding all the artwork to the inside. And here I got all the artwork cut out, and I'm just kind of laying out to see where everything goes. And then, of course, I do also want to check out all the little bits and pieces, and I'm so excited to build like this little chair, and everything is definitely delightful. But here we're started with a top, and it's going to be the outlook on the city through the window. And as normal, you're going to cut it, you're going to dry fit, then you're going to trim it, and then you're going to trim it again, and then you're going to put it in, and it's going to be a little bit too short or too long. It seemed to happen on every single one of them for me, but everything still looks really good. Here I am using a too tiny of a brush to paint the chair, and putting together this little office chair was so fun, and it was very tricky though. The pieces are very small. It turned out awesome though, and I'm like pretty proud of how I figured out how to do the wheels. She includes this wire jig, which is so perfect. I'm keeping that for future use. Absolutely. There's a little mouse desk. Now this one, even though I did cut the 4 legs, I ended up using a bead. I could not get those to stay in there, and I just kept knocking them out. So I don't know if it's the glue that I use. It was not able to get those little legs to stay in there. And here I picked out green for the chair, and the first coat doesn't look great. It looks really good after you put some washes on it and a little bit of highlights. And so this is kind of the process. And then for the little mouse chair, I did this really pretty sunset yellow. Here we go. I've added the green wash. There is the I guess it's the cat's desk. It's almost done with its little legs. And I kind of fuss around with the legs here, adding a light brown, and then I did a wash, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna add a little bit different color. I went with yellow, that sunset yellow on the ladder where it goes downstairs with the bookshelf. And at this point, the mouse desk still has the little legs in it, but like I said, I could not get them to stay. I used a green wash for the desk, and the top of the desk here for the cat's desk, it has like a really pretty piece of artwork over the top. But I didn't want to just do brown for everything, so I did do that green. And then for the wall art, it has the tiniest little frames, and I thought this was a pretty good idea, and it worked really well. I put Mod Podge on the art, and then I put the frames directly over it because they were very fiddly, and that seemed to work really well. And then after the Mod Podge and fully dried, then I was able to cut out each picture and then put them in the little office. Here I am I had like way too big of a grit of sandpaper. I definitely need to use finer sandpaper for when using miniatures, because this took off the corners and made them very round, which was not my actual intention here. Here I'm adding a wash to the cat's desk. I definitely put quite a lot on there, and it's this really pretty reddish brown that I tend to use a lot. I really like it. And then I added it to the legs for the upstairs. I'm using some super glue, and then this is how I figured out how to add these tiny little beads. Is I just dipped the entire base in super glue and then just went and found the beads and just gently like tapped the base onto the beads. But that did work. It worked pretty great. I ended up with an extra bead, but it was pretty easy to take off. I'm doing a wash to the little mouse's chair here. Give it a little bit more depth and dimension and make it look like a little bit more real fabric here. Okay, this was the tiniest fiddly part, is this little, I showed it once apparently, but the little typewriter, I used the trick with a popsicle stick and you put the tape on to hold it, and I got that from Queen City Minis. I've seen do that, and then I think Bentley House Minis as well also does that. So that's very, very helpful. Here are the tiniest amount of silver. I'm going to paint the wheels, and that makes it look pretty awesome. A little bit more realistic here. Not gonna lie, I had to let this dry. Like, you put the chair together, you gotta let it dry. And then you put, the little wire piece, and you have to let it dry. So you pretty much have to let everything dry, like quite thoroughly. Otherwise, you'll kind of pop things off. Adding a little bit of silver to the typewriter for the keys and like the metal parts. At this point, I'm definitely thinking I could use a magnifying glass, but I just did some dry brushing and kind of gave the impression of where everything's at. And then you cut out the tiniest pieces of paper and add the paper to it. This was really fun, even though it was so tiny. You've got all the desk paperwork, and you've got the little notebooks that you make. I did that all off screen because it was very difficult to do. I had to put it right in front of my face. And then my other favorite part were these moving boxes, and everything was scored with lines, so you knew exactly where to fold. I used stick glue, and then I also used some tacky glue depending on the shape that I wanted it to get these put together. But these turned out so cute, and I did save one. I saved a box for like another little mini build that I want to do in the future. And it's a nice little template too, because they come together so cute. We've completed one, and now I do them all. You definitely have to use X-Acto knife to get them out, and that is the best way to do that. And then some you want closed, and then some you want open, and I did put some tissue into one of them. Here they are all complete. I left all of them open in the beginning because I wasn't sure how I wanted to do it. And then I put in some packing tissue paper in that box. And then I decided to close a few. I have not added packing tape to them yet. I did glue them closed. I wasn't sure how to do the packing tape perfectly. I kept getting dust on the tape, and it was too noticeable for me, so I ended up using glue to close some of the boxes. All right, now I'm ready to just kind of dry fit a bunch of the items in here. I do love that little typewriter, especially with the page added to it. It's very, very cute. Back window there was a very intricate frame for that as well, and I did the same thing where I put Mod Podge over the picture only, being very careful not to go onto the wall, and then I added the frame directly on top, and it dried, and then it gave a little bit of shine as well, which was really cool. Put our little chair in. The mouse desk is over to the right, and that's what I used a bead for that. It's so tiny, but everything looks really good after you add some desk paperwork scatter. And then I glued everything in, and here is the final product of the case of the big move. The story is so cute too. I don't want to spoil it, but they need help moving, and they get a couple other little animals to help them, so it is quite fun to read. Oh, here is where when I opened it, I was like, oh, I think it should be black outlined as well, and so I did do that, and at first I wasn't sure if I liked it, but I cleaned up the lines a little bit on the inside and under on the roof, so the black wasn't or on the ceiling, so the black wasn't like spread all over, and I end up really liking it actually. We imagine cat and mouse after a long day would relax looking out over the incredible view of the city. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. If you'd like to subscribe, I'm going to try to do, a few more videos and do some more either kit builds or just stuff from my imagination. But yes, thank you for watching.